Have you ever found yourself arguing with a fool only to realize that the fool was you? A conundrum, indeed. Welcome to the paradox of stupidity. The fun thing about stupidity, you see, is that it's often a matter of perspective. You might think your stance is the epitome of intelligence, but from another's viewpoint, you could be the one lacking in wisdom. It's much like being inside a revolving door. You're going in circles, convinced you're moving forward, but you're essentially just spinning in place. Now, what if I told you that the ancient philosophy of Stoicism could offer a key to understanding this paradox? For those unacquainted, Stoicism is a philosophy that encourages us to maintain tranquility by focusing on what we can control and accepting what we can't. It views emotional reactions, especially negative ones like frustration and anger, as forms of, you guessed it, stupidity. Imagine that. Let's say you're arguing with someone you believe to be a fool. You're getting heated, your voice is rising, and your fists are clenched. According to Stoicism, you're the one being foolish. Why? Because you're letting your emotions control you instead of the other way around. You're allowing someone else's actions, which you have no control over, to dictate your peace of mind. In that moment, the fool isn't the one you're arguing with, but rather the one you see in the mirror. This is not to say that Stoicism promotes emotional suppression. On the contrary, it encourages understanding and controlling our emotions, to respond rather than react. It's about finding that serene space within ourselves where we are unperturbed by external circumstances. So if Stoicism teaches us to avoid emotional reactions, then arguing with a fool might just be the ultimate test of our Stoic principles. It's like a mental workout where your patience is the muscle and the fool is the weight. Can you lift it without straining? Let's delve deeper into this. What if I told you that stupidity isn't just a lack of intelligence, but a state of being? Now that's a statement that might have you scratching your head. But bear with me and let's dive into this fascinating concept known as the theory of stupidity. Stupidity, as we often perceive it, is not just a lack of knowledge or intelligence. It's rather a state of being that is characterized by an inability or unwillingness to adapt, learn, or evolve. But here's the twist. It's not always about them, the so-called stupid ones. It's often about us. About how we perceive and react to people and situations. Now imagine if we could step back from our own prejudices and emotions. What if we could observe these situations from a place of equanimity? That's where the philosophy of Stoicism comes in. Stoicism, a school of Hellenistic philosophy, teaches us to maintain a detachment from our emotions. But wait a minute, don't get the wrong idea. It's not about suppressing or ignoring our feelings. It's about understanding them, controlling them, and not letting them control us. Stoicism encourages us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. It's about accepting the world as it is, not as we want it to be. And this includes accepting people as they are, even if we might label them as stupid. It's not about denying our feelings of frustration or annoyance. It's about acknowledging them and then choosing how we react. It's about seeing the situation for what it is, not what our emotions might make it seem. So we've talked about Stoicism and its perspective on emotional control, but how does this apply to interacting with those we deem as stupid? Well, that's a question that might lead us to some enlightening answers. So, if we're supposed to control our emotions, how does this apply to interacting with those we deem as stupid? So you've found yourself in an argument with someone you believe to be a fool. What's the Stoic way to handle this? Imagine you're in a bustling marketplace of ancient Rome. You're entangled in a heated debate with a merchant who insists on selling you a loaf of bread for 2 times its worth. Now you could raise your voice, stomp your feet and make a scene, but would that serve you any good? Not really. Stoicism, a philosophy born in the heart of this very Rome, offers a different approach. It's an approach that doesn't involve you losing your cool, but instead maintaining a sense of calm and rationality, even in the face of utmost frustration. Let's dive into the Stoic way. Firstly, Stoicism emphasizes emotional detachment. It's not about being heartless or emotionless, but rather about observing your emotions without letting them control you. It's about seeing the situation for what it is, not what your emotions paint it to be. So when you find yourself arguing with someone you perceive as foolish, take a moment to step back. Observe your feelings of frustration, acknowledge them, but don't let them dictate your response. Secondly, Stoicism highlights the importance of patience. Patience, in this context, is about enduring discomfort without complaint. It's about understanding that not all situations will go your way, and that's okay. It's about accepting that people, including the one you're arguing with, are shaped by their experiences and perspectives, just as you are. So instead of reacting impulsively, take a deep breath and respond with patience. Finally, Stoicism emphasizes understanding. It encourages us to see things from the other person's point of view. Why is the merchant charging you double for the bread? Is he just being difficult, or is there a reason behind his actions? Perhaps he's struggling to make ends meet. Perhaps he's been misguided. By understanding his perspective, you're not justifying his actions, but rather gaining a broader view of the situation. This understanding can help you respond more effectively and compassionately. In essence, the Stoic approach to dealing with frustrating situations and people is not about winning the argument or proving your point. It's about maintaining your inner peace, your emotional equilibrium. It's about responding rather than reacting. It's about realizing that you cannot control others' actions, but you can control your reactions to them. And remember, Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or ignoring the problem. It's about handling the situation in a way that aligns with your principles and values. It's about choosing the path of wisdom, patience, and understanding, even when it's easier to lose your temper. So the next time you find yourself in a heated argument, remember the Stoic way. Ask yourself, what would a Stoic do? And then do it. Remember, the goal isn't to win the argument, but to remain true to your Stoic principles. Now that we've covered the theory, let's get practical. How can you apply Stoicism in your daily life? Well, first and foremost, Stoicism starts with mindfulness. It's about being present, fully engaged in the here and now, not caught up in thoughts of the past or lost in dreams of the future. So how does one cultivate mindfulness? One word: breathe. When you find your mind wandering, take a deep breath, hold it, and let it out slowly. Just focus on the sensation of the air filling your lungs and then slowly leaving your body. This simple act brings you back to the present moment, grounding you in the reality of the now. Next up, meditation. Now, don't roll your eyes just yet. Meditation isn't about achieving some mystical state of enlightenment. It's about training your mind to be calm and focused. Think of it like a gym workout for your brain, and just like physical exercise, it requires regular practice. Start with just 5 minutes each day. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and just focus on your breath. If thoughts intrude, and they will, simply acknowledge them and let them go, returning your focus to your breath. Moving along, journaling is another powerful tool in the Stoics' arsenal. The act of writing down your thoughts, feelings, and experiences can provide a profound sense of clarity and perspective. It's like having a conversation with yourself, a chance to reflect on your day, your reactions, your emotions. It's not about creating a masterpiece for the ages, but about honest self-examination. Start with a simple question: what went well today, and what could I have done better? But what's the point of all this, you ask? Well, these practices help create a mental buffer between stimulus and response. Instead of reacting impulsively, you learn to respond thoughtfully. You gain control over your emotions instead of being controlled by them. And this, my friends, is where the real magic happens. When you're mindful, you're not easily swayed by external events. You're not thrown off balance by every little hiccup in your day. When you meditate, you cultivate a calm, focused mind that isn't easily perturbed. And when you journal, you gain insight into your own patterns of thought and behavior, allowing you to make conscious choices instead of falling into habitual reactions. And yes, this includes dealing with those delightful individuals we might label as fools. Instead of getting drawn into pointless arguments, you can choose to respond with calmness and composure. You can choose to see their behavior as a reflection of their own inner turmoil, not a personal attack on you. And you can choose to respond with understanding and compassion instead of anger and frustration. Stoicism isn't about becoming emotionless, but about gaining control over your emotions. And that includes when you're dealing with a so-called fool. So, what have we learned today about stupidity, stoicism, and arguing with fools? Let's take a moment to reflect. We've delved into the paradox of stupidity, understanding that it's not just about a lack of intelligence, but often a willful ignorance, a stubborn refusal to see beyond one's narrow perspective. We've explored the theory of stupidity, the idea that stupidity is not a personal failing, but rather a societal issue, a collective failure to engage in meaningful dialogue and understanding. Then we ventured into the realm of Stoicism, a philosophy that offers a refreshing antidote to this societal malaise. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own actions and reactions, rather than expending energy on external circumstances or the opinions of others. It's about cultivating an inner fortress, a place of calm and rationality in the midst of life's storms. And how does this help us when it comes to arguing with fools? Well, remember, Stoicism encourages us to see things as they are, not as we wish them to be. So when faced with a fool, rather than attempting to change their mind or win the argument, we instead focus on maintaining our own peace of mind. We choose not to engage in futile battles, but to maintain our dignity and composure. We've also shared some practical tips on how to apply Stoicism in everyday life, such as pausing before reacting, practicing empathy, and reminding ourselves of the impermanence of all things. These strategies not only help us deal with difficult people, but also to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience. The power of Stoicism, then, lies in its transformative potential. It's not about suppressing emotions or becoming indifferent to the world, but rather about cultivating a mindful, rational approach to life. It's about finding serenity amidst chaos, wisdom amidst folly, and strength amidst adversity. And remember, the next time you find yourself arguing with a fool, take a step back and ask yourself, who's the real fool here? Before we wrap up, I have a challenge for you. It's called the Stoic Challenge. This isn't about doing 100 push-ups a day or eating only kale for a week. It's a mental challenge. The next time you encounter a difficult person, instead of arguing, engage your Stoic principles. Remember, you can't control their actions, but you can control how you react. See if you can respond with patience, understanding, and perhaps even a bit of humor. Perhaps you'll find the situation less frustrating and more enlightening. You might even discover a new appreciation for the power of Stoicism in everyday life. So, are you ready to take on the Stoic Challenge? Excellent. Remember, this isn't just about surviving life's trials, it's about thriving in spite of them. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful discussions. Until next time, stay stoic and stay wise.